question.
Oh no. I do.
You guys are so lucky. You guys have blood.
Tony,
I know. I'm so happy.
On a travel both and B1 truck, along I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair and having perhaps a better claim.
No.
Won't really drop my
For it was grassy and wanted
That would be
where.
like at least a zero getting.
So I'm like,
And as for that, the passing there is
That would
one
actually have to be like.
and both of them
Is it like a
unequally
3
lay,
millimeter
leaves no
gauge?
step had trod black.
this is a key.
Well, I kept the first for another day,
I know,
knowing
it's
how
a
way
big
leads on
deal.
to way. I doubted if I should ever
I did
come
not put on
back.
an emo face like that.
Isn't it? You do logs. I did all that. I hate it.
I don't speak French.
Why not? Doesn't everybody know French?
All I know is that I can be
I was being sarcastic.
It's fine. I thought it was funny
I like
either
the lip
way.
color.
Thank you. I need to reapply.
Are you going to?
Oh my god, Vlogger Pro, shut up.
Well, I kept the first for another day, knowing how way leads on, I doubt if I should ever come back.
I thought you could just.
Dr. Retberg, they use the restroom.
The red room.
And now they just cracked their knife.
I shall be telling this with the sighs, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in the wood, nigh I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Some say the world will end in fire, others say ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I sided thought those who sucked in fire, but if it had to perish twice, I'd say that for destruction ice is also great and would suppose. God damn it, she stole my pencil.
That doesn't excuse how gross my bruises.
It's also great. Nature is fair, her brain is cold, her heart is tearful. Her early leaves to flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf sacred.
Aaliyah's in the bathroom.
As dawn goes down today, nothing more can stay.
Ooh, to math.
Hey.
Time for English.
That's all my pizza does.
Oh, Aiden was also missing. I just counted.
I apologize, Dr. Upberg. I had a big
don't care.
I don't
Where are my
feel good.
water bottles?
I'm actually sick in my stomach from that one.
It's in
Vomit. It'll make you feel better.
Wait till my parents are signing off on study hours. Like, this is just gonna ruin the other quiz. I'm gonna do
It's fun.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry.
There's no point now.
The new map.
So the math test was awesome, I'm hearing.
Oh, it was wonderful, Dr. Upberg.
I'm in MIT, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I didn't
Well,
want
the
to.
math test was a bummer. At least we have poetry. So, right?
It's about war.
So it's not, so the ordering here is a little bit misleading. So whether this is about war, like, so it's published in 1910 or 11. It's actually, this one's actually not that much about war. So it's published in 1915. It was written in 1910 or 11. That said, it doesn't have a perfectly happy vibe, does it? And maybe it does. I don't know. But if there is, I'm missing it. So there's three key questions for this book, or for this poem. It's not a book.
Yeah.
For this poem for today. Although there is a book called Proof Rock and Other Observations that he eventually publishes. So, what is the question? And that would have been a good quiz question. JK. So, the three big questions I have are, and we'll spend a lot of time on the first one, perhaps the others will develop organically. The first one has to do with my overall sense from some students today who understood this poem. I just said perm.
I don't understand any perms or people who give them.
Who understood this poem perfectly?
You can't
I don't
understand.
think Elliot understood this poem perfectly.
So I'm looking forward to hearing Tommy's interpretation. So if you have been confused by this poem, you should not feel alone. Not as alone as our poor friend J. Alfred Prufrock, at any rate. Interesting. Okay, so the first question that we want to tackle for today, and we will listen to the poem shortly. It's a very long recording that I think it's worth listening to. Is if we have trouble understanding what's going on that connects every piece of the poem together. And I think that even if you understand it as personally as you can, there's big jumps here where we're focused on one kind of image for a while, and then suddenly we seem to be in a different place, focused on something else. Given that it's pretty hard to put this together into a whole in certain ways. What actually binds the poem together is the first question. The second one is, I think this one this sort of took us to the end of the class of the last. Who is J. Alfred Prufrock? Who is this guy? Why should we care about him? What does the poem want us to think about him? The third question, so we sort of went out of order. The World War I texts were on Friday. This poem was written in 1910 and 11. It starts in 1914. The question becomes, so it's not necessarily a war poem. Like his poem responding to the war comes later and becomes sort of a signature work of literary modernism. This is also a signature work of literary modernism, but it's earlier, it's before the war. So the question, Ezra Pound, that guy with the really short first poem we looked at, in a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. This guy was sort of a promoter of modernist literature. He was living in London. T.S. Eliot grew up in St. Louis. He was doing a PhD at Harvard, which he never finished, in philosophy. But he sends Ezra Pound this manuscript, and Ezra Pound gets real excited about it. And he says, what's remarkable about this is that this guy has modernized himself. Okay, so I want us to think about the third big question is, what makes this thing modern? What does it mean for this to be modernist in the eyes of Ezra Pound and others? Okay, this is a really, so I know that this poem, if you've never encountered it before, this poem might seem out there and weird. This is one of the most hyper-canonical poems of the 20th century. Like this is a poem that people read in high schools across the country, in college classrooms certainly across the country. A lot of people take to T.S. Eliot. I've not totally ever taken to T.S. Eliot. I admire T.S. Eliot, but love certain other poets more. But if you love it, great. I want you to love it. Because there's things that are lovable. So it goes. So this is intensely, so this is long. It's 8.5 minutes long. T.S. Eliot, what? Yeah. So it's T.S. Eliot reading it as an older man. Has anybody heard Eliot's voice before? Yes. Okay. Great. So things to know about T.S. Eliot. Born in St. Louis, really wants to, in certain ways, wants to be fancier than his upbringing was. I mean, he sort of has a bourgeois upbringing, but he moves to England around the time his poem's published, stays there for the rest of his life, becomes an English citizen, converts to, wants to be British, that he converts to the Anglican Church. I will play it, so just keep that in mind as we listen to his voice, which is remarkable in certain ways, and bizarre in others, but here goes.
Well, I shall now plunge as boldly as I can into the poem of my earliest published period and try to be Fruit Rock. And I hope that I must warn you that it takes a little time always to warm up the engine, and I hope I shall read better and better as I go on. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sonorous restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. Yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window pane. The yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window pane, licks its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, lit by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window pane. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your slate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo, and indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the skin. My necktie rich and polished, but 35 to 14. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a far room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase, and when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways, and how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight down with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl, and should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say, I have gone a step through narrow streets, and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves, leaning out of windows. I should have been a pair of ragged claws, scuttling across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoon, the evening, sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired or its malingered, stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown like a ball frothy upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it after all? After the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Nazareth, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all, with one setting a pillow by her head, to say, that is not what I meant at all. That is not it at all. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern through the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile? One settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning toward the window to say, that is not it at all. That is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. I am an attendant Lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt, and easy too, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and particular, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse, at times indeed, almost ridiculous, almost, at times, the fool. I grow old. I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers roll. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to be complete? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing east to east. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea by seagulls breathed with seaweed, red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown.
Mr. Sun.
Okay, am I the only one that sort of hears, like, whenever he's saying it, in certain parts, it almost sounds like he's singing?
Yes. Okay, which parts?
Okay, like here, here I need to scroll up to it. It's like, in the room, the women come and go, talking to Michelangelo, and then in part where he says, like, so how should I presume? It's sort of like, the statements he repeats, it almost sounds like he's, like, singing them. I thought it was almost weird. It's almost like more of a song, which makes me wonder if, like,
It's called the love song.
yeah, but like maybe it's like written in a song fashion. There's like different. What is the main parts of a song called? The repeated part.
Chorus?
Chorus. Yeah, it's like it has multiple choruses like throughout the poem, and then like the verses are actually him just like making like a feasible statement while rhyming them at the same time, just to come back to the original like one that he just used like before that. So it's pretty weird. He's like trying to connect a weird story and meaning while also doing it in a weird like songish fashion.
I feel like a lot of
So, yeah, in the room the women come and go talking of Michelangelo. This is, what does it mean to you?
Well, it means that they're trying to fit in, but they don't know anything about painters. They don't know anything about art. So the women, they keep on talking, because they mentioned it multiple times, so they start and they're talking about oh, I love the paintings in this park, they're in a park. And they're talking about, oh man, I love these paintings, like much like I like Michelangelo. And then a bunch of stuff happens, and when they're still talking about Michelangelo, that's all they know, that's all the society's like, Michelangelo's a good painter. All these women are trying to fit in, they're like, I like painting, I know who Michelangelo is, let's talk about him.
Okay, interesting. So think of Professor Linyard's women, the people he hangs out with after, like the women. What was? Do you guys remember the pairing? Is earnest without being, or intellectual without being earnest, and fond without being foolish.
Yeah.
There's an element of that here, I think. Like that sort of, you know, you're supposed to engage with the intellectual things, but don't have access to them fully. Let's stick with the sound for a second, though. Were other people hearing this sing-songiness that he did?
I think that like a lot of poetry kind of just has that sort of way of flowing through that sounds like it could be a song. Because a lot of times, like poetry and music go hand in hand.
Okay. So to build off of Tommy's comment, I do think the sound might be echoing that sense of dismissiveness to some degree, right? There's suddenly we coalesce into this couplet, a very famous couplet, but in a way that's not really sure what's that.
I was gonna say that's right. It's like a writing pattern throughout like the poem, which kind of adds to the sing-songiness. It's easier to like have a poem be like sing-songy. There's a rhyme.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really sing-songy couplets. And that's a couplet.
Which Michelangelo?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the board, I'm just putting up a list of what we're trying to build on to put on the board is a list of what are the things beyond the sort of straightforward sense that bind this poem together.
I just want to say, I agree with Crook's point to an extent. I think that like the poems are almost read in like a sing-songy way, but whenever we listened to the poem the other day, he read it almost completely normal. Like it was just completely normal. There was like that sense of like, oh, he carries the rhyme with him over, but like this specifically sounded like he was like changing his pitch to make it sound like a song.
I would say that like not every poem is sing-songy, but I think that like majority of poems have some sort of rhythm, whether it be like randomized or like, you know, specific kind of rhythms that just kind of make it sound a lot more musical and like artistic than just like a story or a novel.
Okay, so I will say that I think that the Frost poems you read are pretty perfectly metrical. Like these are poems written in like verse.
Yeah.
And I'm a pentameter. But I think Aiden is onto something, right? That the way that Frost is reading, the way that his poems are written even, they're meant to sound like ordinary speech. I don't think this poem is meant to sound like ordinary speech. I think it's meant to sound like something heightened and weird. So something there is that doesn't love the wall that wants it down. Something there is that doesn't love the wall that sends the frozen groundswell under it. Blah blah blah.
That's a good part of the poem.
What?
That's my favorite part of the poem. The
Blah
poem.
blah blah. Yes, blah 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 blah. That I do think that Frost is doing more play with ordinary speech. This is trying to invoke a metrical tradition, even as it's defying that metrical tradition. So this isn't as consistent in terms of its meter, but there are clear regular rhythms here and clear regular rhymes. Other things that bind the poem together. You know, if we don't have just a straightforward story, I think even if we can trace the story here, and we'll try to do that soon, it's clearly not told in a straightforward way. What else can we seize onto as we read? Either specific parts or what's the experience of reading this like?
From like, I just sort of like realized this, but like whenever I was listening to the poem, whenever we were listening to the poem and I did hear like the almost songy part, I realized that after he like, so he's like, so how should I presume, and I've known the eyes already, he almost sang that like the songy way, but then he went to like a very direct like, know them all, the eyes that fix you in the formulated phrase. right? So maybe like he's almost slightly like not like full on sings the refrain, the like parts that were on like multiple refrains, but like after that like he says like one part, then moves on to the next one, and then he explains that, and then he goes back to that one refrain. So it's like he says a refrain, says a line after that in the same sort of tune, then explains it, and goes back to that refrain, and then switches after that.
Okay, in this section, the refrain would be, then how should I begin? And how should I begin? How should I presume? That makes me so digress. How should I then presume? Right? It'd be sort of, the refrains, like a refrain is a consistent thing that comes back, right? Here, you come back to certain patterns and lines and words, but eventually you move on from that. I think that's important too, that things come back, they cycle back into the poem, but they change as they do so. Sometimes they repeat directly, as in the Michelangelo line, but he tries them out for a while, then he moves on. Other things that, like, what is there? So, who's super confused by this poem?
Oh, it's totally
Okay, now let's just tether you down. Who's super confused? So what can we actually see John to? So we're super confused by the whole thing. What can we grasp at as we read? Great.
I know he says a lot about like dying and then resurrection. He's quotes Dante, but then he says Lazarus, and then he quotes John the Baptist who got his head cut off. But then he also quotes like Lazarus after that too, who like rose or something said. So I don't know if it's like because you said it was a repetitive pattern. I don't know if it was like a circle around that too about like death and resurrection.
Dante.
Death like turning into a new person.
Okay, so
Dante the Pharaoh, Divine Comedy.
death and resurrection comes back here in cyclical patterns. Anything else that comes
That's
back?
kind of death and resurrection. That when he said that, that's like a big part of like Dante's writing. He writes about a lot of cycles. And he writes a lot about a lot of death cycles. A lot of cycles that happen while you die and after you die and when you're dying.
Okay.
He's secret love. He is loveless.
Okay, so
It's a psychological issues in one of the themes for this poem.
He's living a life of silent desperation. He needs to go
any
out
other thematic patterns that
gather his
This
rosebuds.
person something, whether he's like
Who is he calling?
It sounds like he's talking to like a lover at the beginning.
It says love song, but then it gets all like weird. Like it's like, hey, look at the sky. Doesn't it look like a guy who's about to get cut open? Like, it's like, hey, let's go to the freaking red light district.
So there's definitely this part with the pillows. I wouldn't tie it down to one lover necessarily, right? So there is let us go then you and I. There is an implied you that there's not an implied you. There's a you, right? The you could be us. The you could be some kind of lover. You could be some kind of person he's jabbering onto. Maybe the whole thing is him mansplaining his crippling.
Mansplaining? That's my favorite thing.
You just say man.
Do you know what mansplaining is? It's like when somebody is like, when a woman tries to explain something and a man just comes in and he's like, no. And then he explains the exact same thing, but people understand more because it's coming from a man.
Oh my god.
Mansplaining. I was really hoping that Aiden would just cut in front of me for that, just for that reason.
It's called the love song of this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think they will sing with me. Like at the end when you're like back around, like they're not gonna sing with me.
I've heard the roommates singing each to each. I do not think that they will
They're
sing.
gossiping about him with each other, but then they're not like talking to him.
Okay, so we can grasp on recurrent themes. And so we've got death and resurrection, insecurity. What other big themes pop off?
Living a life of silent
the multiple
desperation.
lovers thing. And you were like pointing out the restless nights and one night cheap hotels. Yeah, that's kind of there. And also in the room, the women come and go. Talking to Michelangelo, I also kind of like got that vibe.
Michelangelo.
Okay.
It
It does give me shaky vibes.
The first whole stanza is like super shady. Are you kidding me? Like, what the heck?
Good. So time comes up here a lot, and there will be time. This is a recurrent allusion to a very famous poem that most of you will read in LE3 next year.
The coin.
And remind wells to his
mistress.
mistress. And we but whirled enough in time. This coyness lady were no crime.
So
there were
being coy by using time.
enough time. We wouldn't need to worry about spending time.
For having a hospital,
but
once you prime, you pay for
really, the upside of the poem is because there's so little time.
Affair.
That's just
Gather your resources.
great.
All of them now. Do it.
They're coming and going, they're so dumb. They're coming and going, they're not talking about lunch, they just talk about the same thing over and over again. He's getting bored with it, and he can't find someone who he loves, and he still expects someone that always ends bad, and he's like, no one can talk back, like, not talk back, but no one can like feel what I feel, and he's just kind of stuck in this.
No one understands me, God.
Okay. So it's in the room that when we come and go talking about Michelangelo, I think this could be the bedroom, but it could also just be the parlor or something like that, right? I think there's a sense that we'll talk about who Prufrock is more later, but he's something of a man about town
sad.
in bourgeois
He's
urban
depressed.
life, right?
He's living a life
He's
of
going and hanging out in.
aspiration. He needs to gather his
Okay.
resources.
Jiggle is like a man prostitute.
I'm not sure we have evidence for that.
You didn't know what it? No, a juggalo is somebody who follows the who finds the
Well,
clown
I think he is neither a gigolo nor a juggalo.
He doesn't like insane posse man. How?
So-
I didn't know that's a
But I think he's a person who is like
Sad.
participating in this particular kind of social life where he's an intellectual, right? He can talk about intellectual things. He can talk about,
Then why is he
like he
walking
shows us throughout the poem. It's like,
shady?
oh, BT Dubs, I know the Bible really well. BT Dubs.
BT
Here's
Dubs.
some
I'm going to
nonsense.
help saying BT
Great. Here is some Hesiod. He's very learned, right?
I really hope he says BT
Okay, so there's death and resurrection, history, all of this time. Okay, so
Yeah.
recurrent smoke.
It's a yellow cat.
Exactly.
Why is it a yellow cat?
He seems to kind of regret something.
He regrets not doing things. He's living a
Or,
life
so,
of
there's
silent
regret.
desperation.
One of the weird things about the regret is there's times where it seems like there's time. Where it seems like it is an anticipated regret for what he is doing or not doing right now. Right? So, in sentences like,
He doesn't want to change the world, something like that.
sorry.
He doesn't want to dare. He doesn't want to disturb the universe.
So at times is for I have known, but will it have been worth it after all, right? So he's imagining himself into a future perspective. Will it have been worth it, right? So it's looking into the future, looking back at the past. Zach.
That is, I have figured out my life.
Yes!
This one on top.
Oh my god!
Coffee spoons seem infinity irrelevant and unimportant until he's measuring his life. Coffee spoon identifies his life. Particularly the future of his life will be unimportant and unnotable.
Well, I see it as the fact that he keeps on going to all these social gatherings. And every single time he goes to one, he's got another. He just keeps on collecting more and more of the same thing. Like he collects the coffee spoons from wherever he goes. And so you can measure his life with all these millions of coffees he collects every single day he goes. He's like, another party, another social gathering. I go to another parlor and so he grabs another coffee.
Let's go to these. Hang out with these women I despise again. Eden.
I thought of that, like, so as we can see from this poem, he's like not taking risks or gathering any rosebuds or anything. He's like living a life of silent desperation. So like when I saw the measuring my life with coffee spoons, I thought it was like, oh, his life is so boring that all he remembers is drinking coffee every day, and that's how he measures his life. So every time he has coffee.
The rosebuds reference comes from one of Marvell's contemporaries. Gathering rosebuds while you may at old times is still applying.
When I read that, I thought of like Total Rent. Like, how do you measure a year in the life? Because they start going through that, and it's kind of like just another like useless way of 25,600 minutes. How do you measure it? In daylight, in nights of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter and strides. How about 525?
Okay, so anything else that binds them together? So, so coffee spoons, measuring the life that way. Not feeling great about it in this case. Anything else that binds them together? What is it like to actually do this thing?
Sad.
It's a
So they both get literally asked more, and they get talked about more. So it's both the vehicle of the poem and a theme of the poem. Okay. That seems fair, right? One of the weird things about questions in the poem, we turn toward the beginning. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. The question, so it's not just that the poem is asking questions and not answering them. It's that it's suggesting a question it never quite asks. Right? So, and it seems like he knows what the question is, but he never really tells. And he's not even quite able to articulate it. Which is one other theme that I think is important here, that part where, let's see, this sort of devastating part, if one settling a pillow by her head should say, that is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. It is impossible to say just what I mean. I think in communication, or the inability to communicate, is a key part of the poem. And the poem works, right? It doesn't totally communicate what it's trying to say. Grace?
It's something that he was growing old and he was balding, but when I was thinking about the poem, he was like 20.
Yeah, 22. Right? So, yeah. And the voice that's reading is older. Like, this is probably, he's the old man he was always fated to become. But this is a young man who is thinking of himself in pretty old terms. And that's true of Eliot throughout his life. Especially here, though. This is the speaker is a young man, right? So I grow old. That's still projecting forward. Grace.
Although she got married to his first wife.
Unfortunately.
Well, this kind of goes along the theme of like a crisis.
Did she go crazy? She went to
The first, yeah. So.
The first one was she was like
Could go a lot.
Yeah, so there's a lot of unhappiness in his life story. A lot of bad things happen to the women he hangs out with.
Oh, that's fun.
A lot of modernists, not very great to women in their own ways. So, where do we want to go next? So, who is proof rock? And Tommy, do you want to pipe in with? So, you felt like you were getting the poem for the most part. What's your sense of what's going on? Like, what's the actual action of this poem?
Well, in the beginning, he's walking. I think that he's walking down, he's kind of reminiscing in the street. It's a very previous argument, insidious, they're not going to keep very long, they're keeping going on and on. He's kind of going through past these super, super cheap hotels, and these really bad restaurants, not good. And he keeps on talking, it's almost like he's talking with someone as he's walking, but I don't really know if that's what he's talking about. So he's talking and he whilst he's walking down the street. And then I think he eventually makes it to the park, or wherever it is that he's going to the park. He walks in there, so he sees instantly he talks to the very sees the girl, or he overhears the girls trying to sound, women trying to sound like they know a bunch about art. That's kind of the opening. And then I don't know if he's looking at a window or he's remembering this industrial smoke that he sees on maybe it's at his window or just like his favorite spot in the city, which is the yellow fog that kind of takes, I don't know, a cat or a dog maybe. It's not what it's actually taking the form of. Yeah, it's always going to be there. And then he's still thinking about that, and then they starts begging a question of some sort. Actually, before that, he makes a really nice remark where to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. So he's kind of, there's a literal implication, there's also an emotional one. So he mentioned the fact that all these women are putting on makeup and trying to look their best, but he's also saying to himself that he has to act like he's extremely happy or that he's really enjoying the life, his social life, that he's faking it the entire time. So he kind of to give himself like
his game face?
Yeah. And there's contrasting one with there will be time to murder. He says murder, which is very strong word. I'm not entirely
Why is he referencing murder there? Anybody recognize that section? Think of that 60s folk song that's channeling to everything turn, there's a season, time to murder and create, that's biblical.
It's biblical? What?
Biblical.
Yeah,
There's to everything turn, a time to love, a time to die, a time
Ecclesiastes 3.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh.
I love Jesus.
I know.
Okay, so that said, so it's not always totally clear. There's a journey. It's not always clear whether it's a real journey or not. There's some kind of addressee. It's not always clear whether it's a real addressee.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. He's talking to just a friend or a lover of some sort. But now he's at the party that he's kind of trying to be there. And so now he's questioning again, the person's questioning, do I dare? He wants to ask this question. And I like when I return back to the sentence there, he's using it as a literal sense and also as a sense like he really wants to, he's about to ask the question, he's really thinking up to it, he's like, hey, I had kind of an out of the blue question, it's kind of weird, do you want to talk about it? And whoever he's talking to says, sure, and he's like, actually, I don't think so. And then as he's descending the stairs, he's worried that people are seeing the balls, just like, that's a metaphor, and he's worried that people are judging him already. Even though the fact he looks so clearly, he's talking about his morning coat, his collar, his necktie, and then he's still beginning to thinking, oh, but he's balding, and just he's too skinny. Yeah, that's the party scene. And the party continues to go on. He talks about time. This is where he's talking about time. And he's talking about how everyone prior to him is like all about time is fleeting. He's kind of like, well, really, we have plenty of time. We have time for all these decisions and revisions with a minute, which a minute is over. He's saying that he has plenty of time.
It's an amazing line of poetry, right? Pretty comprehensive so far. I think it was pretty good up until the very last paragraph. shut. So we have ears in the chambers you can see, but I see girls read the seaweed red and brown.
Yes.
So human voices wake us.
But I like the line.
I think he goes into a mental breakdown.
Why does he say he wants to be a crab?
Who doesn't want to be